Hello and welcome back to our summer series. I'm Marletha Williams, the Supply Diversity Program Manager for the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System located in Washington, D.C., and your moderator today. Thank you for joining us. We have a very exciting show for you today. Today's agenda, we are highlighting the United States Currency Education Program. The program provides education globally regarding the Federal Reserve notes on design and security features. You will meet the program manager, Maureen Sapita, and the contract management analyst, Jessica Chu. And for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, in lieu of our vendor fair, we host these one-hour webcasts to provide you information and resources you can use during these unprecedented times regarding COVID-19. We hope in the future we can see you guys very soon. We do miss you. I personally miss being out, seeing everybody face to face, but we too will see each other very soon. So we have an amazing panel today. But before I get into the panel introductions, I want to go over a few housekeeping rules. We want this to be a very engaging webcast with you. We want you to collaborate with us through your chat box. So throughout the webcast, please enter your questions. We will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. And again, welcome. So before we get into the introductions, we're going to see how well do you know your money. We want to ask you a few polling questions. So the first polling question is, how many denominations of the U.S. banknotes are circulating today? 7, 8, 9, or 10? No Googling. We want to see how well do you know your money. So there is no need to Google that. We know you have the right answer. So while you're responding to the polling question, I want to bring in the panel. So today joining me is Sonia Danberg, Assistant Director of the United States Currency Education Program. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, good afternoon, Marletha. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's our pleasure to have you. So, Sonia, will you share with the audience your role with the U.S. Currency Education Program and provide us an overview exactly what the program does and why it does it?
Absolutely. So as you said, I'm Sonia Danberg. I'm the Assistant Director over the U.S. Currency Education Program here at the Federal Reserve Board. And before we jump into the specifics of the contract, I thought it made sense to first take a step back and provide you with just a little bit of context of what the U.S. Currency Education Program is and what we do to give you a better idea for how the materials fulfillment function fits within a broader landscape. So the goal of the U.S. Currency Education Program is to protect and maintain confidence in Federal Reserve notes. So to achieve that goal, we work to ensure that businesses and consumers that rely on U.S. currency as a medium of exchange and a store of value have access to education and training about how to authenticate genuine Federal Reserve notes and what to do if they think that they have a counterfeit note. So that's a really big set of issues to think about, and we don't think about them alone. So we work closely with other U.S. government agency partners to help us carry out our mission, including the United States Secret Service, as well as the Treasury Department's Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So to give you an idea of the scope of the issue that we're talking about, there's currently close to $2 trillion worth of Federal Reserve notes in circulation, and we estimate that somewhere around half of the value of those notes is held outside of the United States. So there's really a very broad set of stakeholders around the world who want and need access to information about how to authenticate U.S. banknotes and what to do if they think that they have a counterfeit note. So we employ a number of different communication channels to reach businesses and consumers. Our most comprehensive resource is the uscurrency.gov website, which I hope you're all going to check out today. It contains a wealth of resources in both English and Spanish about how to authenticate genuine Federal Reserve notes, how to report suspected counterfeit notes, as well as lots of other information, including the history of our money in the United States, as well as a number of fun digital learning resources. We're also reaching the global public through our social media channels, including on Facebook and on Twitter. We've got a downloadable educational app, but we also know from our stakeholders that digital learning isn't always the only way to learn. So we continue to have many stakeholders that want and need hard copy educational materials, whether that's so that they can put it up near a cash register to aid their employees during checkout, or because access to digital materials isn't always feasible where they are. So hard copy materials continue to play a role in helping us get our educational messages to the people who need them. So I think that's a good segue back to you, Marlisa, as we talk a little bit more specifically about the contract.
Oh, well, thank you, Sonia, for that wonderful overview. So to the participants, with everybody homeschooling kids these days, can you share with us if there's information out there for parents to reach out to the currency education group regarding educational information for their kids?
Yeah, it's such a great question, Marlisa. Thanks for asking it. So there is a section of the uscurrency.gov website called the Currency Academy, and that's a place where kids can explore at home to learn about concepts related to science, math, and history as it relates to U.S. banknotes. We also have a lesson plan section on the uscurrency.gov website with activities that parents or teachers can use to help teach kids about their money. And we also have the Money Adventure app, which is designed to let kids learn about and explore money when they're at home.
That is great. That is great. So to the audience, we hope that you take advantage of this opportunity to learn about the U.S. Currency Education Program. And it's also an opportunity to educate your kids early regarding knowing their money. So please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and also go to the website to learn more about how you can get the materials for your kids while you're homeschooling or during these times. So Sonia, thank you so much for that wonderful overview. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So up next is Jessica Chu. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, Marlisa. Thank you.
So Jessica is the contract management analyst here at the Federal Reserve Board. She will be your contact person for the fulfillment acquisition. So Jessica, share with the audience exactly what your role is with the U.S. Currency Education Program.
Hi, yes. So I am the contract specialist who supports the CEP and am helping to support their procurement needs for the FY20 procurement. So this particular webinar is linked to their materials fulfillment procurement, but as you know, for the last webinar we had, they also have an AWS cloud and web and application procurements going on as well. So if you're interested in any of these procurements, please make sure that you are registered at the board's vendor register website, which Marlisa, I'm sure will go over. And we do anticipate that these procurements will go out around the October timeframe. If you have any questions, please let us know, and please make sure that you're contacting either Marlisa or I for those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So later in the presentation today, we will provide my contact information along with Jessica's contact information. So have you guys answered the question regarding the polling question? So I have one more polling question before we bring in Laureen. The next polling question is true or false. Who is Washington on the face of the $2 bill? So that's a true or false question. So up next is Laureen Cepeda. Welcome, Laureen.
Hi, Marlisa. Thanks so much.
Laureen, thank you so much for joining us. I know the audience can't wait to hear those key and mandatory requirements regarding the fulfillment contract. So why don't you share with us, in your role as the project manager over this acquisition, exactly what your role is in all of this?
Sure. So I am one of the policy analysts here at the Currency Education Program at the board. I focus a lot on stakeholder engagement. And so one of the elements of that is the material requests, which we will get into shortly. But before that, I did want to go over the answers to our polling questions. So I'll go over the first one. It looks like most everyone got it right. There are 7 denominations of US banknotes currently in circulation. We have the 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, and $100 bill. So really good job on that. I don't know if we've gotten the results for our last one. Looks like we did. Most people said false. So great job. Everyone does know their money. It is not George Washington who is on the $1 bill. It's Thomas Jefferson. Fun fact about the $2 note, the back actually features an engraving of the painting called The Declaration of Independence by John Trumbull. That original painting depicts 47 men, but considering the space constraints, only 42 could appear on the note. There are many other fun facts on all of our denominations on our website, uscurrency.gov. So hopefully you'll check those out after this webinar.
Thank you so much, Lauren. We're really hoping that you guys can check out the website, because I'm sure most of you didn't know that the United States Currency Education Program existed. So we're hoping through these webcasts that we are raising awareness regarding the program so that you can learn more about your money. So, Laureen, the mic is all yours to share with the audience your expectations regarding key requirements and the mandatory requirements regarding your upcoming solicitation. It's all yours.
All right, thank you. So we'll quickly just go over our public offerings just to highlight what Sonia had mentioned. If we go to that slide, we could see our public offerings here. So as mentioned, uscurrency.gov hosts all of our public offerings, or at least a link to them. We have our mobile app, Money Adventure, and it's available for download. We also have our noteworthy podcast along with YouTube videos, and that covers various topics on US currency. We also have our various social media channels that Marletha has mentioned. And we have what we will be talking about today, which is our material resources. Those are available for download, but also for hard copy. They are free materials about US currency for training, education, and consumer information purposes. And they're available in various languages for our requesters. So this solicitation will focus on that. Alrighty, so let's move on to the next slide. So the Currency Education Program is looking for a central coordinator for fulfillment of the board's program materials. We will dive into that in the next few slides, but just to give you a quick timeline of what our contract will look like, we'll have a base year and then 4 option years. Our base year will start in 2021, and then we'll have the 4 option years through 2025. Essentially, we'll have the ability to renew each year after the base period without going through the full acquisition process over again. Alrighty, so let's move on to the next slide. We wanted to walk you through the material fulfillment process so you could have a little bit of insight on how fulfillment works. As you can see here, it's a 3-step process. Requests will come in, and they will come in either through our currency, through uscurrency.gov, or it will come through the board. Second step would then be that orders are recorded in what we call the Contractor Tool, and there's a lot of information on that later, but also tons in our SOW. And that captures the details of the order prior to fulfilling. We do require here, as you can see, it says notify Corps of International Orders for approval. We'll explain that later on. Once that's recorded in our Contractor Tool, the order is then fulfilled, and our orders are made worldwide, so that's why we have that we could fill that order either domestically or internationally. All right, next slide. All right, so here's where we get into the good stuff. So we have our mandatory contract requirements. So again, this is an overview. There's tons of information available in our SOW for you to review. The selected contractor will receive, store, distribute, and keep an inventory of all of our training and education materials. All of our resources are on uscurrency.gov, but I've included 2 examples on this slide just to get a little idea of what we offer. Overall, we would expect our contractor to provide all packaging materials and supplies. We would also request recommendations to the board on the most efficient and low-cost methods to ship to both domestic and international markets. And that would typically occur right at the beginning of the contract. We would expect to be provided with estimated times for shipping under each recommendation and specifications on how you plan to implement strategies to ensure that shipments reach their destinations at the lowest cost possible. We would also expect that if there are better methods that come up along the way, that we would also be made aware. And ultimately, we would expect for all incoming orders to be shipped. So we estimate that there would be approximately 2,000 orders during the first calendar year of this contract, with the potential of 80% going internationally. Our order volume varies each year. So we've seen impacts from different things. For example, COVID-19 did have an impact on our volume. We may, down the line, create new material that has great demand that could make it a little bit more than 2,000. So it's really important for us to have flexibility from our contractor because we can't really specify the exact amount of orders that will be coming in. We expect that orders be shipped within 5 business days from the receipt of their order. We also expect that if rush orders are made, and rush orders can be made by the board, that they be completed in 2 business days from the receipt of notification from the board to make the rush order. We also expect for the contractor to let us know when there are any international orders and just request for our quick approval. And we expect for the contractor to interface with all shipping companies to resolve any shipping issues as necessary. Okay, so we're on the next slide. So let's talk about storage. This is really important. Currently, all of our storage takes up about 622 square feet of storage area for the volume of 15 unique items that we currently have. We expect that our contractor will house all of our material and that they be able to provide a physically separate area to store any sensitive material. We also have the expectation to print on demand. Now, this is rare because we do have a printing vendor, but in the case printing new material can't be arranged in time, our expectation is that we would have printing on demand available. Next, within the storage space, we would require for inventory tracking. This is important for us because we need to keep tabs of the volume of each item that we have. And also, if the board ever does send new materials or restocks on an item, we expect for the contractor to then add that or to update that in the inventory database, and that contract tool we'll get into in a little bit. Our current contractor's warehouse is in Cranberry, New Jersey. And in the case that the items need to be moved to a new location, the contractor will have all existing materials boxed and ready for pickup by the new contractor. We do expect that the new contractor be responsible for picking up and transporting all existing materials from that warehouse in New Jersey to their fulfillment location. And it is a tight turnover. We do expect that within 10 business days of award. But again, we do that because orders are always coming in and we don't want to create a backlog of orders. So let's move to the next slide. And so here we'll get into the contractor tool. This is very essential as well. It's important for us to have open flow of communication, and so this tool really helps with that. The contractor tool should be available to both ourselves and also to the contractor on a daily basis, 24/7 access. The contractor tool is a solution that we use to track orders and inventory available. So as orders come in, the expectation is that it's recorded in the contractor tool and we have access to that real-time information. Our expectation is that the contractor would build this tool, if it doesn't exist already, for potentially other clients, and host it for the entirety of that contract or of our contract. We also expect that for any troubleshooting or any maintenance issues, for them to be taken care of the contractor as well for that tool. So let's get into some of the specifics of the tool. We expect that the contractor tool will do the following. We would want to have a unique identifier for each item type of material. So we have 15 unique items. We would have a unique identifier that we understand is the item identifier. We would need a unique and trackable identifier to each order. We would want the tool to be able to flag duplicate orders because that does happen ever so often. We would also want the tool to flag orders that exceed a predetermined volume. We'd want it to also flag any materials that are potentially unavailable or out of stock, if that's ever the case. And to also flag any requests that are out of ordinary. So what does that mean? For example, some orders may come in with addresses that don't exist. This actually does happen from time to time. We'll see folks filling out the city field as New York City and then state that the state that they live in is Maryland. So we know that's kind of an out of ordinary incoming request, and it doesn't make sense for us to purpose funds to fulfill that order. We also expect for the tool to issue an automated email to each requester acknowledging their request for materials. At the bottom of the slide, I included a little look into what our current tool looks like when tracking our orders. So overall, within the tool, we should be able to track our inventory and track our orders, which is helpful for us to stay on top of making sure that orders for materials are being completed and be on top of the inventory volume as well. We can absolutely provide more details to this tool later on if needed, but everything is included in our SOW. So next slide. So personnel. All personnel working on this contract must pass a background check by the board. We expect that all staff working on this contract have the sufficient experience and knowledge to be able to perform all of the work that is noted in our statement of work. Though we know that there could be a group of staff members working on our contract, we do require a project manager that oversees the entire contract from the contractor's side. We do have specifications on experience in our SOA, but just to highlight some, we are looking for a project manager that has had experience with international fulfillment and that can keep us informed of any changes that could potentially impact our service that may come up in foreign or domestic requirements. We expect the project manager to be our first line of communication and the sole source of overseeing the management of the contract. So for example, monthly meetings that we expect to be had between the board and the contractor, the designated project manager would be the face-to-face, and then of course any staff that we feel would be necessary in attendance. Logistically speaking, we seek that the project manager be available during working hours, and so for us, that would be 9 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. Alrighty. we'll get into now the last slide, which is deliverables. The most essential deliverable for us is a monthly report on orders. Just to highlight, again, the importance of having that contractor tool, it allows for us to internally track how this public offering by the Currency Education Program is doing, and that's very essential to us. In that report, we request order details to be presented, ideally in an Excel sheet format. So just to give you some ideas, we would like, for example, the order number, the location of the request, what materials were ordered, what language they were ordered in, very specific information that is helpful for us. The winning bidder, of course, will receive the exact specifications of the template of our requested report. The monthly report is also a good time to provide a full inventory report for us, just to see how we're doing in the volumes of all of our material items. And we also look for certain emails to go out. In the case a specific item has met the inventory threshold that needs to be increased, we would expect an email to come to us to give us time to be able to replenish that item, just to ensure that we don't create a backlog. We also request that international orders get our approval. This is due to ensure that we are purposing funds correctly and that we aren't fulfilling orders to addresses that don't exist, similar to the example that I had made earlier. At the start of the contract, as we discussed, we request that shipment recommendation report that outlines the proposed shipping for domestic and international orders. And lastly, we require that the contractor provide meeting minutes for all of the meetings held between the board and the contractor. And so next slide. So this would sum up our needs for our fulfillment contract. As a reminder, this is just an overview of what is ultimately included in our statement of work. So please ensure to carefully review that prior to submitting your proposals. And so thank you to all who attended, and hopefully this information was very helpful as you think about proposals. And I'll hand it off to Marlitha.
Oh, thank you so much, Laureen. That was an awesome presentation. So, Laureen, a couple of things that you mentioned that I would like to remind the audience. You talked about flexibility. During these uncertain times, it's very important to the board that if you are going to submit an offer for the solicitation, we are looking for a contractor to be very flexible and to provide a 2 business day for rush shipment. So those are some key requirements that you guys need to take in consideration. But I would like to again to thank Laureen for that very thorough presentation. I would like to bring in all the panelists now so we can take a few questions. Laureen was so awesome. I don't think we have any questions, but let's just bring in everybody. So let me check to see if we have any questions. Okay, no questions? Wow. So I would like to ask, I think we have one, let's see. So the question is this the same portal and representatives that would be handling, supplying commercial? I'm not sure what this question is. Is this the same portal and representative that would be handling, supplying commercial furniture for the Federal Reserve Board? I'm going to say no to that, but if you guys would email me that question, I'll do some research to see if I can further understand what you're looking for regarding the furniture. Let's see if we have some additional questions. Okay. So, Sonia, would you like to add any remarks regarding the type of contractor you guys look for? Because they'll actually be a part of your team.
Sure, Marlisa. So I think Laureen did an excellent job of summing up, both at a high level and in a more detailed way, the requirements that we're looking for in a vendor. And we're really just encouraging a broad swath of folks to read that statement of work, to submit if you're interested in the business, because we do consider it to be a really important part of how we reach the global public with educational and informational messages.
Okay, thank you. And let me just add just a reminder. Previously, we presented tips on winning contracts. So those of you who've been with us with our summer series, by now you should have received the recording. But those of you who are new to summer series, all of our previous webcasts are on the board's public website. So do go to federalreserve.gov and you can find tips on winning contracts with the board. And basically, the webcast provides key information on how to respond to the solicitation, offer, and award. And again, this presentation will be sent to each of you to each of the participants today. And as well, we will post this on the board's public website. You can also find our recordings on the board's YouTube channel as well. And so since you're in our website, we would like for you, if you haven't already, register your company so that when we do have additional webcasts to talk about our upcoming acquisitions, you will be included. Also, just a reminder to you guys, we are not on a fiscal year. Our acquisitions are on a calendar year. So the Federal Reserve Board is now going into the busy season. So now, between now and the beginning of the year, we are going to be hammering out lots and lots of acquisitions. I think yesterday we had a request of about 130 purchase recs come in. So I can tell you the contracting staff will be very, very busy trying to churn out these acquisitions and make awards. So we do buy off the GSA schedule for those of you who are schedule holders. We want you to take a look at our website, understand our acquisition policy, and if you should have some questions, please reach out to us. We also have our procurement staff contact information out on the website as well. We allow you to communicate with our contracting staff until the solicitation hits the market. And with regards to this solicitation, I believe Jessica mentioned that we are very hopeful that this solicitation will be out probably mid-October. But keep in mind, the acquisitions that we talked about this week and the ones we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the AWS and the web development application and others will be awarded this year. So we are also planning our 2021-2022 acquisition forecast. And when we complete that, we should have it on the public website as well by at least the November timeframe. So lots of things going on in procurement. We'd like to say things are popping in procurement. So we hope that you can be a part of the Federal Reserve team with providing us quality goods and services to help us support our mission. So I'm going to check to see if any additional questions come in. Okay. One question, do you have guidelines that you would use for working with contractors available for others to use as a guideline for their business? So this may be a question for Sonia. Do you have any guidelines that you would use for working with contractors available for others to use as a guideline for business? Are you referencing guidelines to be the contractor for the fulfillment, or are you just talking about contracting in general?
Yeah, so we spoke today about specifically the fulfillment contract. In a previous webinar series, we spoke about a couple of contracts that we're also putting out to bid related to supporting the uscurrency.gov website. So that would be the totality of the contracts available to support work related to the U.S. Currency Education Program. But as you indicated, Melissa, there's a number of other contracts that the board puts out to bid that are sort of larger than the projects associated with this program.
Okay, one other question. Are you open to new companies not working with the Fed today with expertise in education programs rather than printing system?
So I think if a company is able to fulfill all of the requirements in our SOW, they would be considered in our acquisition process. So hopefully that answers that. And yes, we are open to new companies that maybe in the past haven't worked with the Federal Reserve.
Okay, another question is this a logistic company, the primary focus for this procurement?
I guess I would say no. I think if you're able to fulfill all of our requirements, again, we would consider you in the running. In terms of logistics itself, I would think that is a very large focus of just meeting all of our statement of work needs, but you may not necessarily have to be a logistics company.
Okay, and it's one more question. Is there a materials development portion for this contract?
No, we have a separate work stream for material development. So we would just send over our finalized materials in the case where we don't need to print on demand.
Okay, I'm searching to see if we have any additional questions. I don't see any additional questions, but Maureen, I would like to ask you, how many languages do we print with our brochures that we're educating the public on?
So we primarily have most of our material available in English and in Spanish, although we do have some material that is available in other languages. And we can always fulfill the need for other language requests if they do come in as well.
We have another question here. It says, are you open for food service companies and the food gift boxes shippable for the holidays? So I think that may be a question for me. Right now, that we don't have a need for gift boxes and for the holidays, but if we should, please email me, and I'll definitely have your contact information. Most importantly, if you would register your company in our database, because when we do go out to market for our acquisitions, we start with our database. So that would be a great place for you to go ahead and register your firm. So when we do have the need for holiday gift boxes, we will definitely have you in our database to reach out to you. Let's see, any other questions? Okay, Jessica, would you like to add some final remarks regarding your upcoming acquisitions? Because Jessica is definitely the face to remember. I know she's been with us on the previous acquisitions as well. So we want you to reach out to Jessica going forward. We will provide you her contact information. And again, the solicitation should be out probably mid-October or so. Jessica?
I mean, I think you just covered everything I would cover, Marlisa. Just keep in mind, please, as we are in the procurement, please make sure you're contacting myself and not the program office. And again, just please make sure you register for our vendor website. It is much more helpful from the procurement side if you do specify what your primary NAICS codes is versus every NAICS code that is available, because it gets overwhelming at times. And then again, we're hoping to get this released out to the market around the October timeframe.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. I would like to thank the panelists. They've done an excellent job. Maureen, thank you so very much for being very thorough regarding the requirements that you will be looking for in your upcoming solicitation. And again, I would like to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to joining us today. And again, let's thank our panelists. Thank you so very much. And I hope to the audience, this webcast has been very informative for you. I know that we provided you information today that we hope will be very helpful and resourceful to you when you're responding to the solicitation regarding the fulfillment contract. Again, we ask that you, if you have some, you will have additional opportunity once you receive the solicitation to ask questions if you should have questions regarding the solicitation as well. So, and we want you to remember the Federal Reserve is committed to assisting you in emerging from this pandemic during these unprecedented times. We want you to be successful in winning contracts with the board. We, like I said, we provided the tips on winning contracts on the board's YouTube channel, on the public web page. Because when you win contracts, you create jobs in the communities we serve, and you help promote a healthy economy and financial system. And to that, I would like to thank you again for joining us. And for now, stay safe and good day. Thank you.